perhaps lost in last week's U.S. election was a story that came out on Marketplace on CBC, and you can watch it on YouTube. It's out there. It's a long one, but have a look at it, and it'll give you some background as to what we're going to talk about today. Martin Mazza from the Mazza team here in Stony Creek. And this is a very touchy subject because what that story did on Marketplace was put realtors in a bad light, and it whitewashed everybody. I'm sure not everybody causes these problems, but the gist of it was that if you're involved in the purchase of a house or a sale of a house where the agent double ends, meaning they're the listing agent and also representing you on the sales side of it, so they'll make all the commission, that's double ending, then the seller could lose money because the lister could have someone they want to buy the house instead of someone who actually would offer more for it. And secondly, a purchaser with full faith putting in perhaps the best offer financially, but not getting that place, the dream home of theirs, which is a devastating thing when you get into one of these scenarios. So how do you answer that? And certainly not making apologies for the industry, but how do you answer that story?
Well, first of all, Steve, thank you for giving me the easy interviews and the easy things to deal with. But as an industry and as a team, we're disappointed. We're disappointed to see this story. We're disappointed to watch it back. We're disappointed at the behavior and the words that were spoken. And sure, there was a slant on the story, and it got the message across, be careful. And there are some bad realtors, and I'm 30 years in. I've run into some, and we're, like I said, very disappointed. The multiple offer situation should be a level playing field. You and I talked about this back in the spring. Give a property 5 or 6 days to get to market, to get shown, to allow buyers to see it, and then allow them to bring in a bid in a fair presentation process. Buyer agents need to lean on listing agents to make sure there is transparency. How many offers are coming forth? You'll never know what the bids are, but how many are coming forth? Who is bringing them? It's crazy to think today, too. Buyer agents are more inclined to email an offer, to fax an offer off to the listing agent, rather than show up and be part of the presentation. And it's our policy as a team. Get in front of the sellers. Get in front of the listing agent. Make sure your buyer has representation at the table. And I believe you'll create a fair and more equitable way of dealing with multiple offers.
So the best way maybe around all this is to not be involved where you see where you're the listing agent and also a purchasing agent for somebody else. Don't get involved in anything that even smells of double-ending deals.
I think there's a time and a place for multiple representation for double-end deals. I do. We've done them as a team, but again, it's got to be fair, and agents need to play by the rules. And let me say this much. I mean, that story painted realtors, or a lot of realtors, poorly. But I will say, again, 30 years deep, there are some very good professional realtors in our city, in the Hamilton and surrounding.
How do you find one, though?
Well, interview them. That's the other thing you can do. If you're going to hire a realtor to represent you as a buyer agent or as a listing agent, interview them. Find out who they are. Understand what their practice is, and gain some trust in them. And I can assure you, there's a lot of good realtors who will protect you as a buyer, protect you as a seller, play by the rules. And I'll say this much: have you ever thought you were treated unfairly in the process of offers? Go to the broker of record who governs the agents in their offices. And from there, if you're still not satisfied, go to the Real Estate Council of Ontario. We're all about correcting and eliminating bad behavior as a professional. I can't stand bad behavior, and I'm the first to pick up the phone and call a broker, call an agent out on bad behavior. But there is the RECO, Real Estate Council of Ontario. Make a complaint if you feel you were wronged in the process. If you feel you missed that opportunity, you were treated unfairly.
So I guess the bottom line still remains, though, because you never know what happens in discussions when you're away from the buyer or the seller in this scenario. It's buyer beware, it's seller beware, and just do as much homework as you can to give yourself the opportunity to have things go properly.
Right, and know who you're working with. And, again, there's a lot of good realtors. Find them, work with them,
Is there some place someone can go where it says, here's a list of people that you should deal with, or here's a list that you shouldn't?
I don't believe there is, but I would think that, sometimes word of mouth, sometimes dealing with your friends and family who have had a good experience, talk to them. Most people have had some experience with a realtor. Talk to them. If they've had a good experience, seek out those people.
Okay, thank you.